This is the Money Radio Network.
Welcome to Fast Turtle, Digital Marketing Pros. Tune in to learn the latest tips about Google search, social media disruption, paid media, and how to transform your business with ROI-driven digital solutions. Now, here are your hosts, Eric Olson and Graham Ware.
Yo, 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 yo. Welcome, everybody. Graham.
What's up?
Welcome back.
Hey, hey.
Oh, we're all excited. We just got back from Vegas.
Vegas, baby, Vegas.
Yeah, we were up there speaking. A shout out to the Nightclub and Bar Association out there for their trade show. They asked Fast Turtle to come up and speak on search engine optimization, the future of search, and where these nightclubs and bars need to be, especially local SEO like we talked about, beacon technology. Really wherever your customers are, all there, voice, everything. Hey Siri, where's the best nightclub around me? Yep. So there was a packed house. Yeah. We got a bunch of pictures, and check us out on Twitter and Facebook and all that fun stuff.
And you can actually download our deck too on our Twitter handle. So if you go to our @FastTurtle or our Facebook, you can actually download that deck and see the presentation. And you even talked about ROI as well. So. We welcome you to do that.
Yeah, good job. We've got, we're actually pretty lucky today. We got Barry Schwartz calling in after this segment. He's the CEO and president of Rusty Brick Inc., website development, app development company, SEO consultant, national, international thought leader on search engine optimization. He's actually the founder and editor of Search Engine Roundtable, somebody that Google definitely looks at and wants to know what he's thinking and what information he has and has questions on. So, we are pretty lucky to have him coming up after the break here in a little bit.
I'm excited.
Yeah, no, man, you should be excited. He's amazing, super nice guy. So definitely check him out. You can actually check out his Twitter handle at @RustyBrick. Also, go to Search Engine Roundtable if you're looking for additional information on what's going on in the search engine world, how you can actually improve your own search engine results. Super smart information there. He's a super smart guy, does a lot of great things. That being said, let's pivot a little bit. I want to talk about social media. There's major changes going on.
Yeah.
For all my Facebook friends that are out there and users, you probably saw they're starting to steal a whole bunch from Snapchat.
Yeah.
And, their stories, Facebook came out. They're evolving their image recognition technology. They began offering different opportunities there. That happened in February. And, here in March, you probably saw some of the major changes that they made with their stories, which is a direct competition with Snapchat and the way they pull those things out.
It is a war. Facebook is doing literally everything they can to take every last feature from Snapchat and build it into their either Instagram or their Facebook Messenger platforms. And it's amazing what they're doing. It's I can't even imagine behind the scenes what's going on at Snapchat and then also at Facebook.
Well, it's the old Microsoft versus Apple. Back in the day when these guys were both battling out for consumers. You look at Facebook, they're going to have close to 2 billion users here. It's about users, and so they don't want to lose users going over to Snapchat and using Facebook less. So again. You go out and you replicate what's working. And if people are talking about Snapchat and spectacles, they're going to go back and say, hey, I really want to start using Facebook and stories now. And a lot of it's about engagement. Mm-hmm. So when you're sitting down and you're talking about what type of campaign we want to create, how do we want to get our brand out there? We talked to a number of bars and nightclubs, obviously, and they're talking about impressions. I just need to get in front of more people. More at bats, as I call it, in the sales side of things. And this is really a great opportunity to get your personality out there and get your customers engaged.
And what's amazing to me is so Facebook has, Snapchat's known for their, the effects where you can put over your face and over your pictures and all that. And so Facebook is literally taken that same technology and that camera effect and has applied it. So people can take selfies now and then put basically filters similar to what Snap would do on their Facebook programs, which is it's kind of amazing in a way because it's a very aggressive move by Facebook. I think a lot of people are taken back by that.
Yeah, and I'll go to that point as well. I think a lot of times these companies look at that and say, hey, you've got a great feature. I'm going to replicate it and then make it on steroids.
Yeah,
Here you go. Like, you think this is so cool, you're getting some market share. Forget you. We're going to go ahead and just pretty much steal your idea and then go ahead and add it into our own platform. So keep an eye out on that. There's obviously opportunity for you to engage your customers on that, using that type of technology and showing your personality. And on a personal side, it's kind of cool, too.
Yeah, it is kind of cool. Absolutely. 100% it is. And it'll be interesting to see what happens in the future here between the Facebook and Snap. And if there's any litigation there, I'm sure Snap's looking at that. Yeah,
that's something for somebody else to look at.
And for our financial viewers or listeners, I always say viewers, listeners, do not, in my humble opinion, I would not invest in Snapchat. Well, they have an IPO. You can buy stock in them, and I know they've been heavily pushed, but really there's no value or commodity yet. They charge $50,000 just to have one ad.
Yeah, it's a little high.
It's a little high.
But as we get into that, and we're digital guys, so contact your financial advisor for any of that additional information. But that's just our opinion. We've got Barry Schwartz coming up. Just to give you a little background, blogger who writes about search engines and search engine marketing. He's the founder and currently the editor of Search Engine Roundtable, an online news site covering the search engine and search engine marketing. He's the CEO and president of Rusty Brick. Pretty cool company out of New York.
Yeah.
Check him out, especially if you're doing any app development or need things like that. He's a super nice guy. He's also the news editor at Search Engine Land, which is one of the sites that I know our team looks at, you look at to stay on top of things. Same with Search Engine Roundtable. And he's also moderates online and offline panels. He actually is coming up and speaking at XMX Seattle, which is a huge conference for us, as well as XMX East out in New York City this year. So that'll be actually pretty cool. I know we've got on the docket, we're going to be talking a lot about different SEO techniques coming up. What's Google doing? Beacon technology. I know we're talking about that. We're also talking about Google tracking opt-ins and opt-outs. That's a big thing that we want to look at. And the holistic approach of making sure that you're doing the pay-per-click right, as well as some of the search engine optimization stuff and user experience. So stay tuned. After these messages, we've got Barry Schwartz coming up.
You're listening to The Digital Pros, powered by Fast Turtle. Get your free digital assessment today. FastTurtle.com. We'll be back after this short commercial break. Now back to Fast Turtle's Digital Pros with your digital wizards, Eric and Graham.
Well, welcome back, everybody. Great day out here in Arizona. We've actually got the treat of the podcast on Barry Schwartz. Barry is the blogger who writes about search engine and search engine marketing. He's the founder of Search Engine Roundtable and also the CEO and president of Rusty Brick, Inc., out of New York. Welcome, Barry.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. Thanks for calling in. Wanted to just get the conversation going with search engines and what we're seeing here in the future of 2017 and beyond. So, Graham, what questions do you have for Barry?
Yeah, thanks again, Barry, for taking the time. For a lot of our listeners out there, people look up to celebrities like, the Justin Biebers, the Justin Timberlakes, I don't even know, the Selena Gomez's, whatever. But Barry Schwartz, for those of us in digital, is like the Michael Jordan to digital. So, again, Barry, thank you so much for coming on. Bit
of a compliment. Thank you.
So, and we had the pleasure of meeting in person when he was out here for the next con, and he's such a great guy, and him being on the show is just a testament to his character. He is a thought leader and authority in the space. He, a lot of us who are kind of the young guys, the guys that are coming up and learning, we really rely a lot on the information that Barry is able to educate and to divulge to us. So we thank you, Barry, for that, certainly. And so I guess I kind of wanted to start off, how did you kind of get into this industry? Where did your passion come from, as it relates to search engines and doing what you kind of do? Can you kind of walk us through your life story as far as like how you kind of fell into digital marketing and what that looks like?
Sure. So my brother and I have a twin brother named Roddy. We started our company named Rusty Brick while we were in high school, actually. And that was in like 1994. So it was when we were about 14 or so. And then over the years, we, acquired more customers and so forth. And we really specialized in building out websites, but also like web-based software. And with some of our customers, like late 1990s, early, I think 1999 or 2000, asked us, how do we, show up in, Google, or back then it was, other search engines.
Yeah, AOL and whatnot. Yeah.
So it was. Ask.com, all these older search engines, and they were basically asking, how do we show up there? So I was very curious about it. So I actually did some research, reading, and stuff like that, and I discovered some, conferences out there, and I kind of fell into the industry. I started to find it fascinating to see, how search algorithms work, especially Google, because Google is doing it one step ahead of everybody else in terms of links. Everybody else was just looking at content, and I read some of the early, books on how linkage works and how PageRank works and all the patterns and stuff like that, and I found it just fascinating. So I started to keep a journal of what the community itself was saying, in the discussion forums. There are a lot of discussion forums that people use today, but they were really using a lot. Back then it was, now Twitter and Facebook is taking over, but back then they were using, various discussion forums like Jim's World and various discussion forums that probably are not even around today. And I was kind of like watching what they were saying and reporting on, this is what the industry is talking about. These are the latest tactics. These are the latest things that people are going to get penalized about. I found that the war between, or the war between SEOs and Google and so forth, to be a fascinating topic outside of, what tactics people are using and so forth.
Gotcha. Very cool. That's interesting. So do you have any interesting stories you're willing to share between, obviously growing a company, 14 years old, with your brother, how did that go? Did you guys get along well? Did you ever have kind of the Steve Jobs and Wyckoff times or moments or anything like that, or any challenges you're willing to divulge or share?
Well, honestly, it's been very, very smooth. It still is. So, I mean, my brother Roddy, he's more of the technical aspect, technical person here.
Yeah.
Which is, people think I'm technical. I'm pretty technical, but he manages all the programmers in our company, and we have very clear roles. So I'm more of the business aspect, the front face of the company, dealing with clients and so forth. But he's more of making sure the projects get done, programmed, and done correctly. So our roles are very simple, very, very different, and because of that, we were able to not fight too much. So it's a very, very easygoing atmosphere here, and it grew organically. It wasn't like we had families to feed and stuff like that, where I had to struggle and say at 14, I have to pay for food on the table. It wasn't an issue. So it was a very good time to start a company, obviously, without having any overhead at all, in terms of paying for things that you needed in day-to-day life. And it just grew organically. By the time we actually needed to support families and employees and stuff like that, we already had a name for ourselves, and clients were coming in easily. Word of mouth was great, and things were growing just organically.
Awesome. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. And looking at your site, Barry, looks like you've got clients of MTV, CMT, Viacom, Cocoon, some pretty big names that are out there. What are some of the challenges that they have that you guys are actually able to fulfill on as it relates to search engine and search engine strategies?
So what's interesting is my company doesn't do anything with SEO or search marketing. We actually don't take on any of that work. We do web software. So we build products that are mobile and web-based, like apps or mobile software or web-based applications for companies to do whatever they want to do. So we'll build anything from emergency room hospital software down to party planning software or very advanced social networking sites. I write about search engines, but I refuse to take on any SEO or client work regarding SEO.
Absolutely, I understand.
So yeah, that's definitely, obviously you guys do a lot with the apps and all that, and as you probably know, there's the augmentation of reality, the AR and the VR that's coming up. Are there things that your company's doing right now to kind of help with that integration and that technology, and applying that to some of your clients? And is there any kind of example you'd be willing to share with that?
So augmented reality apps. So we built one. It was really like a restaurant finder where you're walking down the street and you can just overlay data based on the data we have in the database. So these are the restaurants that are X feet away from you. As you turn the phone, it puts all over that data, the AR data, on top of the actual image, the camera. But outside of that, we're not really doing much with augmented reality stuff or even VR. It's more of business applications, organization applications that we're building.
Very cool. Well, I'm sure you heard about, it's interesting you're talking about the restaurants and all that. I think I saw an article about how, Google had released it was actually on Search Engine Land, 4 billion store visits from their ads through basically, the anonymized data that users opt into. Through location history tracking on their phones. What do you see as a challenge for users? Do you think that this is going to impact, I guess, the beacon technology, or do you think beacons will still be, fundamental for businesses, for those that are basically opting out of location history tracking on their phones?
Right. So that's a good question. So I believe, I don't know for sure, but I would be surprised if most of those 4 billion came from beacons. Google's pretty good at tracking where people are going. They have the opt-ins from all these people to run Google Maps in the background, and various they have Android and stuff like that. So they are tracking people all over the world, including iOS devices that have any Google apps. So you can't really rely on businesses to put beacons in their stores. A lot of I don't know many stores that do it, and the stores that are doing it are not doing it to let Google track them. It's more about letting their customers download apps so they can know when they hit certain areas of the store, or to help them find certain things inside a store, as opposed to just knowing when a person enters the store. Beacons are more about making sure you can navigate somebody through a store where the GPS is not able to reach because they're closed walls and the satellites don't reach it. The beacons themselves are more the Google Maps is just really trying to figure out if you walk into a store. They could pretty much do that fairly easily by figure out where you I guess leave the satellite range, I would guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, gotcha.
That's perfect. Well, we're coming into a break here. We're on the phone with Barry Schwartz, CEO of Rusty Brick, as well as editor of Search Engine Land. Keep on listening, and we'll be back after these messages.
You're listening to the Digital Pros, powered by Fast Turtle. Get your free digital assessment today. FastTurtle.com. We'll be back after this short commercial break. Now back to Fast Turtle's Digital Pros with your digital wizards, Eric and Graham.
Welcome back, everybody. We are blessed to have Barry Schwartz, the CEO and president of Rusty Brick, Inc., out of New York, on the phone. He's also the founder of Search Engine Roundtable, and we're talking about search engine stuff, obviously, baby. So welcome back, Barry.
Thanks for having me.
Well, hey, Barry, I know we've been talking a lot about different things that are happening in the digital landscape. And this is a really simple, funny question that came up, and I just wanted to ask you, so where did the term Rusty Brick come from? How did you guys arrive at that?
You're probably expecting a interesting or funny story. There really is no story behind it. It was just high school, and my brother Roddy just went ahead and put a couple words together based on his initials, and it was just Rusty and Brick. So it's really nothing to it. We could make it up and say, hey, we're a software construction company, and bricks come from that, and bricks don't rust, and last forever. So. But no, it's really just two words put together.
Tie it into app development or something.
That's cool. All right. Well, that definitely will answer a lot of questions that I know that our audience had. So, obviously you're a thought leader, you're an industry expert, you have a lot of going back and forth with even Google authorities like Gary Ellis and John Moo. through Twitter and social media. And for those of our listeners, you can definitely find Barry. His Twitter handle is @RustyBrick. Definitely take a look at him on social media, Facebook, like his page. There's a lot you can definitely learn from him. So, with that, obviously there's a huge amount of probably maybe subconscious or subconscious or unsubconscious kind of pressure. Like, where do you see are the most challenges, being kind of that thought leader? So many people kind of rely on information that you are able to acquire through the relationships you've built and through just even what you've proved out, since even being 14 years old, which is amazing, young entrepreneur, which is pretty cool. What do you find are like the most challenging aspects of that, and then maybe some of the biggest rewards and what you find most rewarding of it?
Good question. So, I'm not sure I don't really think of myself as this pressure because I'm a thought leader. I don't really think that way. I just cover what I think is interesting and write about it, and other people read it, I guess. Mm-hmm. I'm not really thinking of it as the aspect of, I'll have to worry about, writing something in a certain way because people will consider what I'm writing to be that important. Mm-hmm. So I guess I don't look at it that way.
Okay.
That being said, there are times that people take what I say too seriously sometimes. Mm-hmm. There are times where people blame me for when Google releases something that might impact or hurt their business, like an algorithm that penalizes their websites. And I understand they're looking to latch out to take it out on somebody. So
right.
Sometimes they blame me because they think I pressed the penalty button or something, or maybe that I agree with certain algorithms that they release.
So real quick,
write about it.
So real quick, not to interrupt, and I'm sorry. So you don't have the ability to you're not the one behind this the scene of pushing and pulling the algorithms at Google. No, you don't do that.
I'm still waiting for approval from Google to be able to press that button, but not yet.
Okay. Sorry about that. Keep going.
No, yeah, it's just I understand why people they kind of need a place to vent, and if I write about it, they want to shoot the messenger. That's where the phrase came from. But at the same time, most people are amazing, and most people they do appreciate stuff that I write. And again, I don't necessarily write it for the other people. I write it because I find it interesting, and initially I wrote it because when you write something, you remember it. So I wanted to remember what I was reading and have this kind of like a notebook, a virtual, I guess, a digital notebook. And then people started reading it. So again, it's just that's the way I take it, and I pretty much haven't changed. I keep following the discussion forums, what people are discussing, and that could be not just on old-fashioned discussion forums, but now also expanding to Facebook and Twitter, things that are discussed in a public setting. I won't cover anything that's private or that people tell me behind the scenes. I only cover stuff that is publicly available on the internet, and I just keep doing that. I think it's a good way to document stuff and keep a journal of what's going on, and that's very useful. I think it's useful for myself, and it's useful for hopefully the readers that are reading it.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, very well said, and you're absolutely right about that. So when you're not, kind of dominating and playing around in search and geeking out, what does Barry Schwartz like to do in his spare time? What do you do, hobby-wise and things outside of that world? I
have no hobbies, actually.
No. Oh, okay.
This is a hobby.
This is a hobby. This is your life. You're doing it all, 24/7.
Yeah. So honestly, I find the SEO and search marketing writing to be a hobby. People get annoyed when I say that because they consider it work. It's not. I mean, I have my company, Rusty Brick. We built web software. We do a lot of different things. We have different software applications that we sell. That's where I make most of my money. The search engine reporting or journalism or whatever you want to, blogging, whatever you want to call it, is honestly a hobby. Obviously, I do have a family, and I do spend weekends with them and so forth, but I work a tremendous amount. And usually the SEO side of things, I guess the hobby, if you want to call it, I do every day between usually around 6:30 a.m. to about 9 a.m., and then sometimes throughout the rest of the day. But most of that, I guess, work or hobby is done early in the morning, and the rest is normal day-to-day work. So it's I consider the writing actually a hobby, and maybe that's why I keep doing it for the past almost 13, 14, 15 years or so. And it's fun. I enjoy doing it, and eventually maybe I'll burn out, but it's a lot of fun, and I like doing it.
That's pretty cool. Very cool. One thing, I'm looking at the search engine roundtable, and the last article I see from you, Google Fred, the algorithm confirmed and cites overall quality issues. What are some of those issues for our listeners to kind of look at that came out with the Fred algorithm change?
Right. So that was an interesting update. Google has not talked much about it. They finally did confirm it, that there was an update. They wouldn't tell us specifically what the update targeted. Like, with the Google Panda update, the Penguin update, we know Panda was around content, Penguin was around links. Fred, they just said it's written up in our Webmaster Guidelines, and you'll find it there, but they wouldn't say, there's a lot of things written up in the Webmaster Guidelines, so they wouldn't say specifically what. The update touched down on March 7th and 8th or so, depending on what your time zone is. And I believe I reviewed close to 150 websites that were complaining about it. All complain. People emailed me a lot of stuff, as well as a lot of complaints on the various Webmaster World forums or Webmaster forums in Google. And they all, not all, but I would say 95% of the ones I reviewed that did get hit, and they got hit by about 50% to 90% traffic loss from Google, which is massive.
That's huge.
All had a similar pattern. They all had very, very low value content with the concept of just generating revenue. So it looks like they kind of like spun or had very low quality content just to generate content that would rank in search engines, and they monetized that either through display ads, AdSense ads, affiliates, lead generation. Not all sites. I would say 95% of the sites that I reviewed follow that pattern. Very low value content with revenue generation models outside of like, will this actually help the user? So it was very interesting, and it's interesting that Google will talk about it, because why not? Why don't you tell people, yes, this is what we targeted, make your sites better? I don't get why Google will talk about it, and I really did pressure them a lot. Finally, I got a confirmation that there was an update, even though they would have confirmed it initially. But again, they still won't talk about what specific types of sites were hit. But I think, again, it was a low-value ad generation site.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Do you foresee, Barry, being in the web development kind of world as well, the impact of how sites are built, how they're laid out in terms of AI and machine learning and what that all is encompassing? And do you foresee any major changes, as we saw going from like the like JavaScript and over to the HTML5 and responsive and all of that? Do you see any major impacts to site builds and how they're actually laid out, or how they're actually built or constructed on the back end with AI and machine learning?
I think there's two different things there. So, yeah, I do think the way sites are built is important for rankings. Obviously, Google has things like the mobile intrusive interstitial penalty. They have, site speed. They look at a lot of things like ad heavy algorithms and stuff like that. So the way you lay out your page and how that page functions is something that Google looks at in terms of their ranking algorithms, at least confirmed ranking algorithms. I don't think those algorithms are AI or machine learning based at all. I think they're just general algorithms that they run. Plus, Google has said, make sure your users like your site. Make sure they find the content they're looking for. Make sure it's easy to read. Make sure there's nothing obstructing the view of what they're trying to read. Make sure it's a site that they want to go back to and recommend. At the same time, it's hard to say how Google measures that. Is it measured based off of page rank, or people like sites that they link? They link to sites that they like, or is it measured based off of Google looking at certain types of behavior? And Google has said time and time again they don't look at click behavior, they don't look at bounce rates and stuff like that. They don't look at that type of stuff for ranking purposes. But at the same time, there might be some correlation between different metrics that they do look at to say, all right, these types of sites that have these metrics also tend to have these characteristics in UX and UI. But again, I don't believe there's any machine learning in that. Google has only confirmed one real machine learning algorithm involved in search, and that's RankBrain. And that has to do with the query itself, like what Google returns in terms of what they think you're looking for in a query, but not necessarily how they analyze web pages.
No, that makes a lot of sense, and I know that's something that we talk about quite a bit as well. We're going into a break, and we're sitting down with Barry Schwartz from New York City, CEO and President of Rusty Brick. We'll be back after these messages.
You're listening to The Digital Pros, powered by Fast Turtle. Get your free digital assessment today. FastTurtle.com. We'll be back after this short commercial break. To Fast Turtle's Digital Pros with your digital wizards, Eric and Graham.
Welcome back, everybody. We have the pleasure of Barry Schwartz still on the phone with us, going through search engine roundtable information. He's actually the founder and editor there, president of Rusty Brick out of New York. And really, we were just talking about that holistic approach and what Google really looks at. One of the things, that they've said that they don't look at is necessarily bounce rate as it penalizes things. But holistically, I think they're looking at time on traffic or time on site. They're looking at bounce rates. And they obviously want to serve the best websites that are out there in the search results that people are really looking at. So all good stuff. Barry, thanks for hanging out with us this afternoon and spending some time with us. I know, Graham, what other questions do you have for Barry?
It's kind of a geeky question. Do you prefer microdata or the JSON LD for markup?
I think you should. I personally have no preference, but I'm pretty sure if you asked like John Mueller, it would be more of the JSON LD type of approach.
Yeah. Okay. Any good UX resources that you prefer that you would be willing to share, like for our users or audience or listeners?
I think like the Smashing Magazine, I think, is a popular one.
Smashing Magazine, cool.
Yeah, but I don't read much. I pretty much focus on just SEO stuff. A lot of people confuse UX and SEO. They're kind of really separate.
Definitely. I guess other influencers. You being one of them. What other influencers do you look to, or do you look to in terms of like trust, or obviously Danny Sullivan, and you guys have a good relationship. You have a good relationship with all the Google guys. Are there other influencers out there that you also kind of interact with and trust and kind of best practice sharing or best information sharing between them?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. Like you said, Danny Sullivan and obviously the Googlers. But, I mean, there's a lot of personalities that I look to with my reporting. Obviously, there's the Webmaster World Forums, which was founded by Brett Tabke and now owned by Jim Boykin. But the people on Twitter, I follow a lot are people like Glenn Gave. He's very active in tracking a lot of these algorithm updates. Barry Haynes. Aaron Bradley is very involved in the structured data stuff. Mm-hmm. I really hate pulling out specific names because there's just so many people I've covered over the years. I really cover a huge array of different types of people, personalities on the internet, and I always source those people that I'm talking to when I write about it. So whenever I find something, I always say this is where I found it, and it's usually from somebody in the community. And I probably have covered, I would be surprised, thousands of different people in the SEO community before. So it's not like I don't want to really call out one person or two people, but like you said, the main personality of this industry is Danny Sullivan. Yeah. So there's nobody at that level, and it's great to be able to have worked with him for 10 plus years now. So.
It is, yeah, it's amazing. Do you still think that quote unquote negative SEO is still kind of a factor in the game?
It's just you haven't heard people talk about that much these days.
No, that's why. Yeah, that's why I was bringing it up.
Yeah, it's a good question. I do think there are cases of negative SEO. Rare probably, but I think most savvy SEOs aren't going to say, hey, we're hitting it by negative SEO. They're just going to use the tools that they have to try to make the websites better, get better links, get better content, and I guess use a disavow tool if they're nervous about it. So I don't think it's a major concern.
Cool. Do you have any conferences that you're speaking at that you're coming up to that you'd like to kind of promote?
I think I'm speaking at so I'll be at XMX Advanced in Seattle. I think that's June. Mm-hmm. I'll be probably XMX East in New York City. I'm usually at most of the XMX ones in the States.
Very cool. Very
cool. So if you ever want to see me, I'm usually at one of those events.
Awesome. Can you I know this is a kind of a longer answer question, but maybe just in a summary, where do you feel the SEO industry is headed in the next, couple years as it relates to, as things evolve in technology, voice search, all of that is happening? Where do you see that, that industry or SEO heading, in the next couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like you've nailed it. I mean, the voice search is the most interesting aspect with, Google Home and Google Assistant and Apple Siri and Big Cortana and stuff like that. Those and Amazon Alexa, SEOs are starting to really focus and look at how to get their answers and their search results directly into voice search, because, you're driving down the road and using CarPlay, using, Android Auto, or you're walking, on the street and you want to, look up an answer, you just talk to Siri or Google Assistant. Mm-hmm. Those are the types of things, my kids, I have a Google Home in my house, my kids are asking it questions, mm-hmm. And stuff like that. And people are going to, the screen is, obviously the big display screen, the desktop screen is, Google said, over 50% of the searches are now mobile, and I'm sure that's probably well over 50% now are now mobile. And they said 20-something percent, like 25% of their mobile searches are voice enabled. Mm-hmm. And that's just going to increase and increase, and that's where SEOs obviously need to focus and tell you how to get that 0 position ranking with the feature snippets and stuff like that.
Yep.
So you guys are all thinking about that, and that's not going to change outside of people saying SEO is dead. So, but there's no futuristic thing that I could probably tell you that you probably haven't heard already from somebody else.
So, your kids playing with the Google Home. We have a Google Home. It's actually really fun. What do you find is the most kind of challenging? Obviously, it's a new technology, so it's not perfect just yet. As it relates to like a business being able to, voice search, hey, I want to get. Do you foresee the ability for transactional things to happen through these different kind of voice-assisted technologies and platforms? So
yeah, I mean, so you could buy stuff off of Amazon Alexa now. Yeah. I think Google has said time and time again that they want. I think you can, for certain things like Google Express, buy things over Google Home and Google Assistant. I think they're just going to increase that as well. So the question is, obviously, do you have to get into Google shopping feeds, or what do you have to do to be part of that? And now it's a very limited beta. And I think with Amazon Alexa, I think you have to be part of Prime. I'm not exactly sure how that works. But obviously, yeah, e-commerce retailers that are trying to sell something, they need to keep track of, what you have to do to actually get to be one of the purchase vendors, the top vendors for those types of beta tests. And if they have AdWords reps and shopping reps, they should probably start talking to them and say, what's with this, and what do I have to do to be an early adopter on this and get my content and my products in there.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yep. Have you seen any results coming from the voice, the voice assisted that are displaying like non-mobile friendly sites, even though like Google obviously says like mobile get and mobile's huge and speed and all of that, as we know. Have you seen any instances or cases where like they're pulling non-mobile friendly sites? So their quality guidelines, saying like you need to have a mobile friendly site, and then they use a voice assisted technology and they serve up sites that are not necessarily mobile friendly. Have you seen any instances of that?
I never saw a study done on where feature snippets come from in terms of is the site feature mobile friendly or not. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, typically those are more authoritative sites, and they typically are mobile friendly and responsive. Okay. But I've never seen a study done on that. It would be interesting to see if that's the case.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when Google switches to the mobile first index, and they crawl the web as a mobile user agent, going first as opposed to desktop user agent, that will obviously play into account.
That's awesome. Barry, thank you so much for your time today. We truly appreciate it. Just to keep an eye out for our listeners, if you want to check out a little bit more about Barry Schwartz, you can check him out at his company, Rusty Brick Inc., out of New York. You also can see him at XMX Seattle coming up, as well as XMX East in New York City. So, again, thank you, Barry, very much for your time today. Everyone, keep trucking, man. Digital marketing's the key to success. So we will catch you next week, same time, same channel.
You've been listening to Fast Turtle's Digital Pros. Discover how SEO, PPC, and social media can grow your business today. Call 888-468-8785. That's 888-468-8785. Not sure if you need help? Get your free digital assessment now at fastturtle.com. This was the Digital Pros, powered